Well, good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and today is August the 17th. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is our H.O.O.D recovery services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I am looking forward to doing your spiritual principle a day in a meditation for August the 17th. So let's go ahead and get into that screen while I still have a little battery, a little battery left. Let's go ahead and read it together. Put that right there. Okay. August the 17th, willingness to change. Oh, this should be good. When we take the Serenity Prayer seriously and really consider what in our lives we do have the courage to change, we find that our ability to shape our lives is limited more by our willingness than by anything outside ourselves. Living Clean, Chapter 6, Finding Our Place in the World. Let's do a moment of silence followed by the Serenity Prayer, okay? Moment of silence. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. All right, this is what it says. It says, we say the Serenity Prayer so often in NA meetings that it's easy to do it by rote, without intention or commitment. Sometimes I forget that it's actually a prayer, one member reflected. It's only when it was suggested that I say it outside of meetings as a prayer for willingness that I began to connect to it, to really use it to help me in a moment of strife, confusion, or indecision. It helps me get real, another member offered. I need to know what I can change before mustering up the courage to do it. Most of the time, it's me that's standing in my own way, not my past, not my upbringing, or my culture, or institutions, or even other people, just this addict. Change is hard because it's often painful. Our current level of discomfort is familiar, at least. Trading it in for the unknown seems risky. We fear the pain will be worse on the other side of a decision. Who wants to experience rejection or failure? Or what if we succeed? Then there may be a slew of new responsibilities to deal with. Will we be able to manage those? In the simplest terms, these are fears that limit our capacity to grow. Change is even harder when we view the world as hostile to us, when we listen to the voice in our heads telling us, you can't or don't do it. Ignoring that voice and practicing willingness to change the things we can, and then taking an action toward the change that we want to make, requires a lot. We have to simultaneously accept where we are right now and be willing to take a risk. There are lessons to be learned. No matter how things turn out, a bonus of NA membership is that we get to report back to those and share those with others. That's a bonus, right? A bonus of NA membership is that we get to report back and share those with others. I'll carefully consider what I have the power to change in my life right now. Instead of cursing the dark, I pray for willingness to change the light bulb. Sometimes it is that simple. Sometimes it is that simple. We have become so comfortable within our complacency that we don't really see that the lack of willingness to change is directly related to our unwillingness. It could be about laziness. It could just be about exhaustion. But a lot of times we don't have it's not that we don't have the courage. We don't have the willingness. We don't have the willingness to change it if we could. because we're totally comfortable with where we are right now. And I love this, that sometimes people have a tendency to blame their upbringing, blame their parents, blame the culture that they live in, blame their race, blame the church, blame other members. A lot of times we have a tendency to put the blame on everyone else as being the reason why we're limited in moving forward. And your definition of moving forward might be different. You know, my definition of moving forward is living a relatively carefree life, able to travel and go as I want to, right? To live a healthy life and be able to provide for my family the things that I believe are not just needs, but also some of their wants, without having to incur debt to be able to do it. These are things that are important to me. I take very seriously paying my bills, right? However, one of the things that I had to face, whether or not I had the willingness to change because I had a shortage of cash, was whether or not I had the willingness to give up a lot of my free time. Now, this year, I have given up so much of my time. I have given up a lot of my time, and I have seen the effects on my household. I've seen the effects on my children, because I decided if I'm ever going to get out of debt, somebody is going to have to earn the money to be able to pay ourselves out of debt. And that means that my husband is permanently disabled and I'm getting better every day. That means that I need to get out here and try and earn some cash, right? So I was like, okay. So for years, I've been more comfortable with just being able to call the shots on my day every day and do what I want and travel where I want and do, you know, as I feel free. And I didn't want to trade over my free time. Now I've traded over my free time. And do I have problems with it? Sometimes I do. Sometimes, honestly, I do. Sometimes I want to be able to come and go and do what I want to do, especially as it pertains to my family. I don't want to have to tell my family I'll be home after 5. I don't like that feeling at all, right? So for me, I know that earning money is important, but I need to earn enough to make all this debt go away because that's a game changer. When you're strapped to your debt, then you feel like you have to be in the situation of working. I don't want to just work. I want to enjoy the work that I do, right? So for me, I love doing the podcast. I love media, and I'm seeing that, you know, when I first did academic counseling with a community college, it was recommended that I go into media. And I took it very lightly. I was like, nobody's gonna make money doing that, right? But in reality, that is some advice that I should have followed because I love it. And it was evident that I loved it even then. And I would have been much further along had I pursued it in 2011 than still being in the pursuit of another degree in 2022, right? So sometimes we need to listen to other people, but ultimately, even if we have all the information, I wasn't willing to pursue my education in media, right? Do I wish I had? Absolutely. So sometimes we really need to take the Serenity Prayer to a deeper level. It needs to be something that we become invested in because we need to know what we can change. And we need the courage to change those things that we can. Because if you don't have the courage or the willingness, you're just going to be stuck in a rut. And you're not going to be happy. And everyone that has to deal with you not happy is not going to be happy. So try today when we get off of this podcast, try today to, I'm trying to think of something that would really be worth your while. Get a sheet of paper, right? Your notebook or your journal, and write out the Serenity Prayer. Write it out. And this time, don't make it the we version. Say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And then after you write that prayer out, write the word accept, and then write 2 or 3 things that you need to accept that you cannot change. Okay? And then after you have those 2 or 3 things, the courage to change the things that I can, write a C for courage, and write 2 or 3 things that you need courage, that you can actually change, and you need courage or knowledge or something, right, to be able to do it. And write those things down. And then for wisdom, write a W and write the word wisdom. And this part is more difficult because this is the wisdom to know the difference. Write 2 or 3 things. Be as authentic as you can. 2 or 3 things that you need wisdom about to know whether or not you need to accept them or if you need courage to change them. There may be something that you're sitting on the fence about, and it's basically just because you don't really know, right? You don't know for sure if this is something within your realm of being able to change it, or should you accept it? And a lot of times, relationships are in that area, right? Say, for instance, you have a rebellious teenager and you're trying to figure out if you have the ability, if this is something, their behavior you need to accept, or if you need courage to enforce change. Because, in NA, we're taught enforced morality lacks its power, right? But when we're dealing with children, sometimes we need to be able to enforce our standards so that they understand there's boundaries in life, and this is not one that you should cross. Oh, I know so many people with grown kids that continue to cross boundaries with them because they never drew lines. A lot of us were actively using when our kids were small, right? But they never drew lines. And now they have to have the courage to do it, right? So you're going to have 9 things on, at least 6, but maybe 9 things, 3 for each part of the prayer. And then I want you to fold that up. And then I want you to write God, 2 words on there, fold it up. On the outside, write God can, right? God can do it, right? So write God can or God can do it. And then write the word save and circle it so you don't get rid of it. And put it in your Bible, put it in your Quran, put it in your safe, holy place, put it in your basic text, right? Put it up underneath your pillow, so you know to pray over that list. Whatever you need to do to make it so it's in the forefront of your being, right? And start praying about that. On an intimate basis, start praying that Serenity Prayer for those things. And get back to me when you see results or you see God's response. Let me know about that, how that works out for you. And so I hope that this has been helpful. Willingness to change is a big deal. A lot of times we just don't have the willingness. And I would hope that you would move past that. Your life, the beauty in your life, the freedom in your life, the excitement in your life comes with you taking responsibility for those things and having the willingness to change what you can. That's all that you're really held accountable to anyway. Okay, I've enjoyed talking to you today, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.